over 36 years here. So Mrs. Sheila Roberti is a native of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it began her career here 36 years ago. And she chuckles because when she first was employed here, she didn't even know where Northford or North Branford was on the map. And actually, I think her sense of direction may have improved, but I don't know, Joe, we might have to ask you because I know she keeps getting lost in Jerome this year. And I think maybe it's just the first year, but maybe there's something more to that direction piece. Through the 36 years, Mrs. Roberti has taught every grade and has serviced children at Jerome, Tutucket Valley, and North Branford Intermediate School. In fact, Mrs. Roberti often refers to herself as the Queen of RIF. And those of you that don't know what that is, that's reduction in force. So she's moved from building to building to building to position to position to position. So if you think about somebody that's flexible, that's Mrs. Roberti for sure. She holds a degree with a concentration in reading from Central Connecticut State University. She also holds a 5th and 6th year degree from Southern Connecticut. In 1996, she did receive the honor of being North Branford Teacher of the Year, and in 2001, she was honored as the Connecticut Reading Teacher of the Year. So congratulations for that. I think that speaks volumes about the work that she's done in our district and what she's been recognized for across the state. Mrs. Roberti is here this evening with her husband Joe, who is also a retired teacher of North Branford of 32 years. So they've dedicated a lot of time to our district, and we can't thank them enough for what they've done and the children they've reached. Mrs. Roberti has one daughter who lives in New York City, and her daughter has actually followed in her parents' footsteps because she's a fashion photographer there. And as many of you know, her dad was an art teacher at the high school in photography as well. So like father, like daughter, I guess. Mrs. Roberti is a twin, and she loves to cook and to read. And of course, our Jerome Harrison staff knows all too well how good her cooking is. And I'm sure Tutucket people know that as well from their years. I see a lot of nodding in the audience. So please join me in extending our best wishes to a very fulfilling retirement to Mrs. Roberti. You will have the time now to travel, to cook, and to just enjoy books at your leisure because I know it's something that you continually love to do. So Sheila, come on up. Congratulations. We wish you nothing but the best.
Joe, would you like to come up and get a photo?
Sure.
I don't want to put you on the spot. Put your strawberries down, Joe. I got a teacher. What do you say to Steve for later, Joe?
I don't know, Joe. I'm not comfortable on the side.
Try vertical tie.
Always a teacher.
Congratulations, Sheila, again. Our next person that I'd like to honor from Jerome Harrison School is Miss Helena McKee, first grade teacher. She's been employed by the North Branford School District for 40 years. It's probably older than some of you, longer than some of you are in age in the audience. In fact, one of her current colleagues that teaches alongside her remembers herself when she was a student at Stanley T, and Miss McKee was a teacher there over 30 years ago. Imagine one of your students now being your colleagues. This is truly education coming full circle. Miss McKee is and always has been a quiet, calm, and caring teacher who always goes with the flow. I guess you have to be that way. And Ms. McKee, you've worked with 7 different administrators, I believe, over the years, so I guess you have to be flexible and just kind of go with the flow. So you certainly have exercised that, and it's been acknowledged by your colleagues. Because of her ways, she makes her challenging job look easy and effortless. She goes about this work always with a smile on her face. Over the years, Ms. McKee has developed friendships with many people here in North Branford and in her hometown of Hamden. Despite her quiet, soft-spoken ways, you would be quite surprised, as I was, to know that Miss McKee is an avid fan of Disney, but what she likes best about Disney is the thrill and daredevil rides. I was shocked by that. Congratulations, Helena, on your years of service to our youngest learners. We are so blessed to have had the opportunity to work alongside you and wish you relaxing days ahead to sit poolside, travel to Europe as you've done in the past, and be a daredevil once again. Congratulations, Helena.
don't want to hear any height jokes, okay? I have the pleasure of making a few remarks about Warren Dunphy on the occasion of his retirement. Warren spent a few months as a custodian in 1967 before leaving to serve in the U.S. Army. He returned to the system in 1970 when he was split time between Cedar Lake and the intermediate school. In 1971, he moved to William Douglas in Northford. Warren sought to return to the intermediate school because, and I have this in writing, the commute to NBIS was 7 minutes less than the commute to Willie Doug. And that was in good weather. After losing his bid to a more senior custodian, he was finally able to return to the intermediate school in 1977. His 43 years of service make him #1 in the school system. One teacher was actually hired before Warren, but she has 36 years of service due to some leave time. So Warren is actually our longest serving employee. Wow. There's not a great deal of information in Warren's personnel file prior to 1977, which I'm not going to try to explain. But I believe he was hired when Bert Curtis was a superintendent, and he survived Bert, Charlie Joy, Jim Kuhn, Jack Mulrain, Don McCarthy, Bob Wolf, and now Scott. There were a few different building principals along the way also. Speaking of surviving, Warren also made it through the 1990 code conformance update at NBIS, the addition of the portables, the removal of the portables, the construction of the auditorium, the other portables, and finally the renovation of the building over the last few years. These were often challenging times, and I applaud Warren for his contribution to these major undertakings. A few other fun facts about Warren. Approximately half of our current teaching staff was born after Warren started working for the school. Also, he's been a member of the North Branford Volunteer Fire Service. Warren's wife Phyllis served as a police dispatcher for many years, and I really enjoyed those 3 a.m. phone calls. Finally, Warren's salary has increased approximately tenfold during his tenure in the school system. I've actually known Warren for much of his career, beginning in the early 80s when my children were involved in Saturday floor hockey and youth basketball. Then as I became directly involved with the school, I got to know Warren much better. I think he was the one who first showed me the old boiler room in the tunnel, and he was kind enough not to leave me there. On a more serious note, Warren, I wish you a long and happy retirement. May you enjoy your time with your family and friends. I thank you for your long and dedicated service on behalf of the district, as well as for the many times you've helped me personally. They wouldn't have seen that if you hadn't moved the flowers. There's 20 on the lead one. Thank you. Oh, Tom.
He thought about
Don.
rocking and rolling things also.
I'm going to have you both This is his handsome grandson.
Let's do one more. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I finally graduated after 50 years. And lastly, certainly not least, I do not have a prepared set of comments for Sarah Creflo. I'm going to speak as a colleague and as a friend. We've been so fortunate to have Sarah join our staff over the last 3 years, but her career started many years ago, 30 plus years ago, in North Branford and ended for a time in North Haven, and we were fortunate enough to have her come over after being the superintendent for 7 years and join our staff as the director of curriculum and instruction. And I want to say personally what Sarah has meant to me, having her not only as a colleague but as a friend, as a confidant, to be able to talk to and share the struggles that all of us go through as superintendents. This was my first superintendency after being a high school principal for a number of years, and I was so fortunate and blessed to have Sarah come on in my first year and join me and be such a great support. And I know our other administrators in the district will echo those feelings, that Sarah has always been there to listen and to guide and help when the need arose. And we're all going to miss you greatly. Sarah is, I don't use the word retiring, because I think she's just putting the brakes on and taking a little break. She has extensive travel plans with her husband Charlie. Her next year is mapped out with Alaska, Nova Scotia, and Florida, and I'm really jealous. I have 13 more years before I can even think of that, and then probably another 4 before I can afford to do that. So 17 out, I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I just want to wish you nothing but the best, Sarah, in your future and your plans, and thank you. And Shannon, would you come forward to present Mom with the flowers, please?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm not saying goodbye. I wish I could call myself. Thank you all for all your years of service. Thursday, June 13th, 2013, Board of Education meeting. Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Here.
Vice Chair Missio.
Here.
Secretary McMahon.
Here.
Ed Corradino.
Here.
Lou Paternoster.
Here.
Deborah Premier.
Here. Okay, salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any visitors' comments related to items on the agenda? Okay. We have no student reps. They're getting ready to graduate. I'm looking for a motion to approve some minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 16th, 2013 Board of Education meeting. I'll second.
Any discussion? You have nothing to say this time?
Nope. Leon.
Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Missio.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Corradino.
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deborah Premier.
Okay, we move on to personnel. Superintendent has received a resignation from Ms. Bonnie Appy, social worker at North Branford High School, effective at the end of the 2012-2013 school year. Ms. Appy has provided dedicated service to the students of North Branford for the past 15 years.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resignation of Mrs. Bonnie Appy, social worker at North Branford High School, effective at the end of the 2012-2013 school year.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
With great regret, definitely a person that's going to be missed and going to be a difficult person to replace.
Definitely. Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes. The superintendent has received a resignation from Ms. Christine Imparato, Assistant Principal of North Branford Intermediate School, effective August 1st, 2013. Ms. Imparato has provided dedicated service to the children of North Branford for the past 10 years.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resignation of Ms. Christine Imparato, Assistant Principal of the North Branford Intermediate School, effective August 1st, 2013.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
I would like to recognize Ms. Imparato and thank her for her dedicated service of 10 years as administrator here in North Branford, and she will be missed, and would fully respect and understand the reasons for what she's doing with her family. So, Christine, thank you for your dedication and your professionalism in your mission.
You beat me to it. Thank you. And the superintendent has received a retirement resignation from Ms. Sarah Queerfeld, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, effective August 1st, 2013. Mrs. Queerfeld has played an integral role in the advancement of teaching and learning in the district over the past 3 years.
I never do any of this, but I'm going to do it this time. I make a motion to approve the retirement of Mrs. Sarah Corfeld, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, effective August 1st, 2013.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deb Prunier.
Yes.
The superintendent has received a retirement resignation from Ms. Helena McKee, grade 1 teacher at Jerome Harrison Elementary School, effective at the end of the 2012-2013 school year. Ms. McKee has provided dedicated service to the students of North Branford for the past 40 years.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the retirement of Miss Helena McKee, grade 1 teacher at Jerome Harrison Elementary School, effective at the end of the 2012-2013 school year.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes. The superintendent has also received a retirement resignation from Mr. Peter Fabiano, history teacher at North Branford High School, effective at the end of 2012-2013 school year. Mr. Fabiano has provided dedicated service to the students of North Branford for the past 35 years.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the retirement of Mr. Peter Fabiano, history teacher at North Branford High School, effective at the end of 2012-2013 school year.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Was he your teacher?
No, but he was definitely on my friend's teacher, Mr. Fab.
Yeah, he was there, but I
He's a great
don't remember the
teacher.
either. Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
I also, Mr. Fabiano, can be here this evening, would like to echo what Ms. Seal said about Mr. Fabiano and his dedication to our students over 35 years, not only as a teacher, as a coach. He's been actively involved in leadership with the union, and he's just always been a pleasure to work with, and always upbeat, and we are going to miss him. We wish him nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The superintendent has also received a retirement resignation from Ms. Sheila Roberti, reading consultant at Jerome Harrison Elementary School, effective at the end of the 2012-2013 school year. Ms. Roberti has provided dedicated service to the students of North Branford for the past 36 years.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the retirement of Miss Sheila Roberti, reading consultant at Jerome Harrison Elementary School, effective at the end of the 2012-2013 school year.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes. Thank you all again. Appointments. The superintendent has received a recommendation from the high school administration regarding the appointment of Mr. David Parness to the position of head boys basketball coach at North Branford High School.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Mr. David Parnes to the position of head boys basketball coach at North Branford High School to be paid a stipend in accordance to the contract between the North Branford Board of Education and the North Branford Federation of Teachers.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I would. I just like to say, I think, we always say we're here for the kids. Well, Mr. Parnes is a town resident, or his parents are from town, and he grew up in the North Branford school system. He went through middle school, he played high school ball for North Branford High School, he went to the youth program in this town, he became a teacher, and for this person, and he coached my son 7 years ago as a freshman. So the point I'm trying to make is that this is what we teach. We want our kids to go through our program and a budget time, take that in consideration because he's coming back to us. And North Branford, for anybody that doesn't know that, we are the lowest paid coaches out there. And this is Dave Parnes' dream job. So to get somebody to go through our school system, our program, and to come back dedicated to our town, I think it says a lot about what we have to offer. And I just want to thank the administration for giving Dave a chance. He's in his 30s. I think he's a great kid. And personally speaking, I like to see people that went through our system have the chance to come back and give back to the town. And that's all I have to say on his appointment. I think he's a good choice, and I think he'll do very well for us.
Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Macia.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Cordino.
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
Okay, leaves we'll put aside to executive session. And then we move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. We're going to continue on with the celebration. The retirees are still here, and we have a proclamation that we'd like to read and ask the retirees to please come forward and then, upon receipt, walk around and be acknowledged by our board members. So at this time, I'd like Sheila LeVert to please come forward.
For Clubby 3, thank you, Lou.
And there's nothing left to spill up here, so you're safe. Sheila, by the North Branford Board of Education, on behalf of the entire school community, as a testimonial to your contributions to our community, whereas during your 36 years of service to the North Branford Public Schools has built a reputation as caring, honest, dedicated, and compassionate employee, and whereas an employee of the North Branford Public Schools for the past 36 years, Sheila Verdi has served as an educator. Now, therefore, the North Branford Board of Ed, on behalf of the grateful residents of this community, do hereby tender to Sheila Verdi this proclamation extending to her deep appreciation for her distinguished service and our best wishes for continued good health and happiness in the future. This is from the Board of Ed.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Our photographers either out of film or we've replaced them, but we can stand here and we'll be live. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Sarah?
I just told her, let her know if you should do this, because I've been meeting North Branford every decade since the 70s, and I'm always watching
This proclamation is presented in grateful appreciation to Sarah Fairfield by the North Branford Board of Education on behalf of the entire school community as a testimony to your contributions to our community. Now, it only says 3 years on here, but total time in North Branford,
16.
16. So I
Without my long-term sub.
So over 16 years, but here it states 3,
Let's spread it out.
has built
4 decades.
a reputation as a caring, honest, dedicated, and compassionate employee. For her time as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, we are honored to present this to you from the Board of Education, and again, wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can sit down.
High five.
small token of our appreciation from the Board of Education on behalf of the entire school community for your 40 years of service to the North Branford Public Schools has built a reputation as a caring, honest, dedicated, and compassionate employee, whereas an employee of the North Branford Public Schools for the past 40 years as an educator. Again, we thank you on behalf of our community, all of your students, your co-workers, your administrators, and the superintendent. Thank you for your dedication. Mr. Burris. And last but certainly not least, Warren. And for the record, not the oldest employee, just the longest serving employee.
I always save the best for last.
Save the best. Warren, again, on behalf of the Board of Education, for your 43 years of dedicated service to the North Branford school system. They're always caring, honest, dedicated, and compassionate towards all your employees, all the children. To me, every time I see you, I appreciate that. And for your 43 years of dedication as a custodian, you're surely going to be missed. I wish you nothing but the best for health and happiness in the next phase. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, good luck.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. David? Thank you.
I'll never forget you.
I bet you will.
Now, our retirees, you're welcome to stay or feel free to leave. There's snacks if you'd like to take anything home. Have your family take home. Take some more strawberries. Thank you. It's that time of year again where another class of graduates will venture on. And I'm sure you do great things, as you're aware, Tuesday, June 25th at 6:30. Weather permitting will be in Stadium Field to recognize our class of 2013. I have listed the honorees that evening from the class of 2013. The valedictorian is Kyle Soroka. The salutatorian is Chelsea Meager. The class essayist is Ryan Proto. And the class president is Lauren Gagne. I have a biography, which I will pass around to all of you. I'm not going to read the bios to you, but I ask you to please take some time to look at some of the outstanding accomplishments that these students have attained during their 4 years here. We have so many gifted and talented students in the school system, and we're going to, in a short time, recognize 5 more students separate from this, and it's really a tribute to our teachers and administrators to the dedication and commitment they have. Kyle will be attending Benton University next year. You're probably used to seeing him in the hockey pads and the goalie as our goalie. Chelsea will be at UConn. She received a 4-year full scholarship to study in the field of medicine, and she was acknowledged at the scholarship evening the other night because of her accolades as a student here in North Branford. Ryan Proto will be attending West Point following graduation. To have a student accepted at West Point speaks volumes to your high school, to the courses, to the rigor of instruction, to the ability for us to have a student compete against the best and highest ranking students in this country to get into West Point with an appointment is something we should be very proud of, and I know we're very proud of Ryan. Lauren Gagne, you will see her in Hollywood one day. She is just an incredibly talented young lady. She'll be attending school at Pace University, studying her pursuits in acting and singing and theater. So 4 that you should be so proud of, and many, many more that have done great things. So this is the best part of the evening. This is the best part of the year as a superintendent to recognize what our students have accomplished. So I'll pass the bio over for you to see.
Now, I just want to clarify something. I did go to the scholarship awards, and I had asked because when this young lady, Chelsea Meager, received a full scholarship to UConn for 4 years. The expression on her face, like, she did not, there's no way that, I said there's no way that she knew this was coming. This was obviously not something that she negotiated with them beforehand, and I asked Mr. Steffler, he explained to me that when she committed to UConn, you recommended her and put her in for the scholarship, and they granted it.
And she didn't know until that night that you were, at the
That was
event.
wonderful. That was wonderful.
a
She was an
priceless-
absolute shock. I looked at the superintendent, I said, did she know this in advance? Because she can't fake that. She cannot fake that.
No, those tears were real.
She was sitting behind me, and the whole family was just absolutely.
Yeah, it was
And that's wonderful.
beautiful.
And thank you, Mr. Steffler, for putting her in for that. Thank you.
Yeah, incredible.
They deserve it.
Okay, moving along, there's no donations at this time to approve.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there is,
We have to add one.
Good.
There is a donation to approve at this time.
Didn't last it all.
That's okay.
Do you need
We
to
love
do that?
donations. Oh, oh, this just came
Yeah,
in.
we're doing that.
Hot off the press.
I'd like to extend a thanks to Lynn Reardon, again, Matt's Mission, for extending the funding for our Color Your World camp. She originally, as you recall, donated $2,000. We had a number of students who met the criteria for a scholarship week at the camp through our free and reduced lunch. And she was gracious and kind enough to reach out to her board, and they extended an additional $1,240, which means an additional 7 students will be able to come to camp for free for a week. So again, thank you to Lynn Reardon and Matt's Mission and their board for their generosity to our students in North Branford.
I'll make a motion to approve an additional donation in the amount of $1,240 from that mission fund to provide opportunities for North Branford students to attend the 2013 summer camp program.
Second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Very thoughtful. That is very thoughtful, and thank her very much. Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Seal.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Cordino.
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, under recognition, we have another opportunity to recognize the many talents that our students possess. We have 5 students here this evening that I would like to recognize for successfully completing full-length novels in their creative writing workshop class. Under the guidance, the leadership, and the direction of Dr. Mark Fabrizi, who is here this evening, we're honored to have him here supporting his students. The average novel was over 52,000 words, which is equivalent of approximately 180 pages of writing, 6 pages per day for 30 days. I really probably can't do an appropriate job describing what that means, the dedication, the commitment, the challenge, and I know Dr. Fabrizi is here, and I know how proud he is, and I don't want to put you on the spot. Could you stand and just say a few words about what this encompasses?
Well, this is a project in a creative writing workshop class that we do every year. And I challenge the students to write a full-length novel in the space of 1 month. And this is in addition to their other duties, their other obligations for other classes. This is in November, so many of them, well, for many of them it's in November, so they're applying to colleges. So they have a lot of things on their plate, but they still take the time out to really devote an enormous amount of time to writing because it's important to them. And that's one of the things that we in the English department try to encourage students to do, is to think of the writing as important and worth sacrificing for. And one of the rewards that we give to the students is a published copy of their books. This is a hard copy for each student of the words that they wrote during the month of November.
I do. I'm going to pull them up one at a time. We're going to rehire our photographer for this. So. And we do have plaques which read issued to the recipient in recognition of your outstanding achievement in completing a full-length novel in your creative writing workshop. So again, congratulations to our recipients. We ask that you continue your passion for writing into the future, and please come back and join our staff someday. I'll hire you. Come on out. Is Sarah Brenner here? Sarah, Rachel is here. Rachel Hernandez, please come forward. Rachel will be attending the University of Vermont and is going to study early education and hopes to be a teacher, right? I'm going to be battling your dad for hiring you.
Can you just go that way a little bit so I can get the back of Mr. Parker's?
Now he's getting us demands here.
Because I'm vertically challenged. Got it.
Congratulations. Could you just get me on board as well? Thank you.
Great guys. Good luck.
Is Brent here this evening? Brent? Come on down. This reads to Brent Johnson in recognition of your outstanding achievement in completing a full-length novel in the creative writing class. Brent will continue his education at Southern and is going to enroll in the writing portion for his undergrad and hopes to be a writer someday to continue on. Great, fantastic. Don't forget about us when you're famous.
Be the next James Patterson.
Good luck.
Is Leah here? Stephen. Stephen's here. Stephanie, this is a small token of our appreciation and recognition of your accomplishments, your outstanding achievement in completing a full-length novel in a creative writing workshop. Stephanie will attend UConn next year and she will study journalism. So that concludes you.
Select course also, right?
And select. And, you know, that's an interesting comment. You can start your rounds and I'll talk about you. But many of these students are National Honor Society members. They're involved in clubs and activities, and their day starts well before 7 o'clock and ends after 7 at night. And it's amazing the time management and how they're able to complete and be a part of so many things and do it so well. So it's a testimony to all of them. So best of luck to you all next year. Congratulations. Thank you, Karen, for that. Students, you're free to go now. You can.
The way it ends in the rose.
It's all in the delivery. The building administrators and staff members have been quite busy. I'm not going to go through the 4 pages of what they've been doing, but spend some time. Obviously, you have, and you have had the packet. And if you do have any questions, feel free to call or email, or if there's anything now that you'd like to ask the administrator. But they've been going strong right through with exams coming up next week at the high school and the middle school, closing everything down. It's really a busy time.
I'd like to make a request for good weather for graduation.
Second motion. Okay, ACES ECA, as you are aware, we participate in the ACES program in New Haven, where our students are able to go out and participate in programs in the arts. And we have 4 students who have enrolled in the program for next year. We always set monies aside, and this year we were thrilled that we had 4 students that were accepted. Many don't have to audition to get into the program. So that's just another kudos to our staff for preparing these students. The tuition rate is offset by the state of Connecticut granting a balance of $3,900 per student that we budget for in advance to have those students be able to attend. So I wholeheartedly support the program. I've gone and did site visits. I know Sarah has been on many occasions, and we, I don't want to speak for you, but we love what they do over there.
It's a very competitive program.
Right. So with that, I ask that you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 4 students from North Branford Public Schools attending the ACES Educational Center for the Arts for the 2013-2014 school year at the above noted rate.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman Anafrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macia,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
Okay, I thank you on behalf of the 4 students as well for supporting this worthwhile program. Attached under Exhibit D, we have the post-high school plan report. I will be very brief with this. We're thrilled that 90% of the class of 2013 will continue their education. 68% are planning to attend 4-year colleges, 22 are planning to attend 2-year colleges or vocational schools. So they have 90% of our student population furthering their education. Is something we should be very proud of. 3 students are enlisting in the military, 7 students are going to plan on working full-time, 1 student will continue at the high school in our 18 to 21 program, and 5 students are deciding what they're going to do. That does not mean that they won't have the opportunity to enroll in a state school or a 2-year school. A lot of the rolling enrollments allow them to do that. So again, I'm really pleased with their successes. You have a couple of sheets there listing where our students will be attending, if they're most competitive, highly competitive, very competitive, or competitive schools, the percentiles that are going off and where they're going. So again, congratulations to the high school administrators for preparing them to get into these institutions and encouraging them, whether it's for a 4-year school or a 2-year school. Certainly this economy has changed the thought process for many, many students in our country. And the student rate loans and the increases in loan payments for our young adults is really strapped many. It's really challenging now for our students to go off to, many of these schools are $45,000 to $55,000 per year for private schools. Our state schools are now going above $20,000 plus a year. It's a heavy investment, and it's a tribute that 90% of our students are going on. So congratulations to all. If there's any questions,
Some of these names of schools are phenomenal.
Carnegie Mellon?
yeah, our
Boston College,
football players
Smith College,
will play Carnegie Mellon next year.
Villanova, University of Miami, Skidmore, Babson, Bentley, Emerson. There's just
Great schools. And it's interesting, many of the students that I've had discussions with are staying in state and going to Quinnipiac and Sacred Park. Those have been 2 very popular schools that are local schools, within driving distance that our students will be attending and getting a very high quality education. It's just been a very popular school for our classes the last 2 years.
Unfortunately, what's really sad is the amount of student loans that they're coming out
Right.
and graduating with. They were saying today on the news that the interest rates are going up over 7%
Right.
on student
Whether
loans.
doubling where they were.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just for clarification. I'm looking at the numbers, and maybe I'm 2012 was a very good year in percentage being accepted for us. Maybe because my daughter graduated, Marcy's son graduated. But my first point is 2012, the percentage accepted is on most competitive, it's 21% increase from 2011 and 2013. And highly competitive, you're looking at about 8%. And in very competitive, you're looking at a good 10%. So the percentage is high in 2012. First of all, that's one question. Is it a strong class?
Yeah.
And next question I have is, if you look at the applications, In 2013, we had over 200 more applications than we had in 2012. Is that the way I'm reading it? Because if you add up all the numbers in 2013, you come over to about 614. Am I reading it correctly? Compared to 417?
Total application.
Right,
you're
so even
getting
though
more
it's getting tighter, kids are applying to more colleges.
Right.
That seems really, because in 2011, we did have 429 kids apply to colleges, or applications. 2012, we had 417. And now 2013, we had 614 applications go out. It's interesting that that number is so drastic.
We had some students apply to 10 or 12 schools in the senior class.
Okay.
Which is,
The other thing, if I may add, the Navion software that our guidance department has been using now for a few years has helped streamline that process. And, the common application process and all those materials being sent electronically to schools has also provided the kids more opportunities to apply to more schools.
Appreciate that, okay, yeah. You're right. The $50 credit card and you apply.
And I also think that students are competing for financial packages with colleges as well.
and against the college.
Yeah,
If they get a
exactly.
package from one, they'll call and say, you know what?
That's what I mean,
Right.
yeah, they're competing to get the best financial package they can get, because the tuitions are getting crazy,
Yes,
student loan rates are going up, and people can't afford
Yeah, and
it.
it's buyer beware, and you have the ability to do that with admissions and with financial aid to
Yeah,
play
it just
off
seemed
of
like
another
200
school.
some odd thing. It was a third increase that caught my eye, and it was very, so 2012 was a strong class based on prior years. All right.
And every class has its personality.
Yeah, but it seems,
and
I understand that, but it seems like just a drastic,
number.
I mean,
And
it almost doubled on most competitive.
Right. And 90% going off.
Yeah, it was very good.
It's really outstanding.
Overall, you guys do a good job, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about the high school? Okay, certified evaluation or section 10-151B of the Connecticut General Statute states that all administrators will conduct and complete evaluations for all certified or permit-issued employees, food safety through our Board of Education. And the year-end summatives are underway on all certified employees, and all will be complete on or around June 30th to satisfy that 10-151. So their administrators are busy completing evaluations and gearing up for the new evaluation plan as we move into next year. Any questions? That's pretty straightforward by statute. Okay, authority to hire. Similar to last year, each year prior since I've been here, during the summer months, if we are in a situation where we need to hire, if we have a late resignation, which at times people come in at the last minute and do not want to be recognized or go through any fanfare and decide to turn their paperwork in late, in order to fill a position, or if it's between board meetings, in the past, you give me the authority to hire, go through the interview process, and then recognize that employee at the next board meeting. And this next motion gives me the authority to hire in the summer months.
Scott, does this include certified teachers, or is this for administrators as well?
Certified teachers and administrators. If we had a resignation over the summer of a building administrator and we needed to fill it, we would go through the process of the interview and the posting, but if it fell between a meeting and we didn't have the time and it was a tight frame and we needed to secure a person that we were of high interest in, then we would want to move on. So it's really for any certified administrator or teacher.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve that authority be granted to the superintendent to hire certified personnel through the summer until the September 19, 2013 board.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
We have 2 administrators.
Right now.
Well, I have something to say. I think it's important that our superintendent has the ability to get the most qualified person. for the job, a person that he believes fits the position.
He doesn't hire alone either. He
Well,
usually
I
has an
realize that.
yeah, he doesn't have,
But
it's
again-
not usually one opinion, it's an administrative
Right,
team that.
Right. So once the team decides on a candidate, it would be good to be able to get him right away.
Right.
So we don't lose them this time.
I'm in favor of that.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Missio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Cordino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deb Kinnear.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty, then we move on to committee reports. Negotiations, we will take care of in executive session. Budget and operations. You want to give a rundown from the meeting now?
We had a relatively brief meeting,
Yeah.
and basically the 12-13 budget is in pretty much the same situation as it was. The prior month, we had an overage in security, but it's not increasing. We have an overage in liability insurance, but it's not increasing. And we have an overage in outside tuitions, which is also not increasing, but I'm, again, expecting some offset from additional excess cost grant funds for the state.
Thank you. Curriculum, instruction, and strategic planning.
Right there, right there.
Okay. In curriculum, we had technology by Mr. Terrell that was discussed today, where we stand, some items on the wish list, and so it was very productive. And we also had Liz Kaplan and
Laura Major.
with discussing art, and did a wonderful job.
And in addition,
Yep, and
we're
then
going to
also
have Mr.
showing-
Parker's giving us an
Our
update.
kindergarten.
Oh, good, our update.
One thing I'd like to say is every person Sarah's brought in front of us to present their case, all these directors, chairman of the board, are all outstanding people. Everyone that's come, they're young, they're vibrant, and they actually are they can present excellent. So I want to compliment all the people that come.
I'll let Mr. Terrell know tomorrow.
Very nice compliment.
Now,
Graduated.
tell him tomorrow he's going.
I will tell them. So we can carry away.
All right, go.
Well, he's got to do it, Sean.
All right, so I'm going to give you an update on full-day kindergarten, which was, as many of you know, our first year of implementation, which we had many, many successes, and when I get toward the end, I will tell you where our obstacles were and how we're looking ahead to overcome those. But I think academically, you're going to be very, very impressed, because if you remember way back, and I know when you made this comment, either in curriculum subcommittee or at a board meeting, when we looked at the exemplars of writing with the Common Core, we thought, our kindergarten kids, not ours. And our teachers said, our kids will never be able to do that. When I get to that part of the program, I'm going to have you go into the yellow folder, because you're going to be very impressed with what you see there. It's just a cross-section of average to high to low kids. So we just randomly took some pieces of writing and compared them to those exemplars. So let's just dig
Mr.
through it.
Parker's will give you the cue. We're going to the yellow
I
folder.
always think go ahead in class.
That's okay. All right, so just to share with you a little bit, what was the schedule like this year? As you know, we had that typical transition time when they arrived from home to get into school, which in the beginning of the year, that was a little bit of a challenge, as it always is, but they just come right in now, go right to the classroom, and they have since about January. There was a long block of a morning instructional time where the teachers did what they needed to do. So if they needed to spend more time on math in a particular day, they did. If they needed more time in literacy, they did that based on the students that were in front of them and what they had seen from their assessment results. We then went into lunch and recess, which was new for kindergarten students. That brought a whole set of challenges of how do you get through the cafeteria, how do you get to recess, how do you learn how to do recess, how do you play, how do you do all of those pieces that are really, really important in kindergarten. So the academics along with the social piece. Following that, we had a read aloud, which was new. The teachers never had a time to really fit in a read aloud every single day. So this was an opportunity to share some great literature, to model reading for our students, which was missing. Then there was a long block of an afternoon instructional time. Similar to the morning, teachers would decide based on what they needed to do, whether it would be literacy, math, or other things that they needed to work on. Kids would then go to a special art, music, PE, library, or computer. And then following that, we had a second read aloud, which was a bonus. Teachers, and in the beginning of the year, that was another recess time because we were finding by that time of day, we had many students that were falling asleep. So that became a recess, but then as the year went on, we moved away from the recess and added back in a second read aloud. And then a wrap up and transition from school to home, which is critical. But the biggest shift that we made was every teacher's professional goal was around the area of writing, because we knew that was the biggest shift in the Common Core of what our students needed. So there were daily writing lessons, which were very, very powerful. There was daily writing practice of at least 30 minutes. Imagine a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old writing uninterrupted for 30 minutes with teacher conferencing, partner conferencing with other students. That's why you're going to see the results that you see. Changes that we saw was we had longer instructional blocks, which I talked about, which allowed for the pacing of the curriculum to be as it should be for 4- and 5-year-olds. It wasn't a race anymore. We were able to really, truly differentiate the instruction because we had the paraprofessional. In many cases, it was another teacher because many of our paras in kindergarten are certified teachers, along with the classroom teacher, so we lowered the ratio of students to an adult. So we're able to really target the need. There were at least, as I showed you, 2 opportunities for read aloud. There's nothing better than modeling reading for our students. And reading, as we know, ties right into writing. So what they were hearing in the read aloud impacted their writing throughout the year. I think I lost my connection here.
Your phone's dying.
Okay. We'll go this way. All right, daily recess, which built that social piece, which is critical in kindergarten. And then time for writing instruction, as well as student generation of their own writing, which was really missing from kindergarten because we did it as we could in a half-day program, but now we were able to do it every single day for at least 30 minutes. And as a result of that, our higher academic demands just naturally came into place. For example, previous years, students only needed to learn 5 sight words in kindergarten. Now they need to learn 15. And believe it or not, we front-loaded all of those early in the year so that we saw the impact of that in their writing. But the real proof is what the teachers had to say. Teachers are saying that they're happy to have the time to read to students daily, so they're able to pull out those great pieces of literature that they have had on shelves for many, many years. They were able to not feel rushed. They were comfortable with the pacing. They were able to take time when they needed it, to spend more time in a particular area. So it wasn't so much, what am I going to rush through today, but what do my students need that are in front of me? And with the wealth of technology available, it allowed them the time to kind of explore and to infuse that into the curriculum, which is really important. So what were our academic results? Students leaving kindergarten are expected to be reading at a level 4 on the developmental reading assessment or higher. This year, 100% of our kindergartners are reading at a level 4, and many of them are at a 12, 14, or a 16. 18 is an end of first grade expectation. Wow. So we actually have 3 kindergartners that are reading level 24s, which are second grade, and comprehending what they're reading. Because the oral language has been there. Teachers are able to talk to them in not a rushed pace.
Talk about return on investment.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And the benefits of what's going to happen when those kids go to 3rd grade and have standardized tests for the first time. I know that was one of your questions. Are we really going to see that impact? I can't imagine that you won't. I'm sorry.
What was the highest? You said
We have some kids 24s. I have one actually that's, she's out of 28 and we stopped, but she's reading and comprehending that. And we just stopped because we thought, why test her higher? Yeah.
She wrote a novel also.
As you saw, the sight words, they're mastering many more sight words than previous years. So kids are going into 1st grade having control of those words in reading and automaticity with them in their writing. We infused academic vocabulary over 3 trimesters. So this was part of our Common Core push, was we developed, in collaboration with the staff, lists of vocabulary words, academic words that kids should know, that we just throw out in math, we throw out in science, and we assume they know them. Well, we actually taught them, used them, and then assessed them in kindergarten. And then we improved our area of writing, so students meeting the expectations of the Common Core. So Common Core writing, and these are not going to be great to see, I don't think, but this is an example from the exemplars of the Common Core. So this is not ours, this is what was in the Common Core binder for narrative writing. Kindergarten, I went on a motorhome, I went on a merry-go-round, I went. Here's an example of just a random selection from our kindergarten. And this is a student, these are in your folders because I know you can't read them too well, but so I'll read this one. I went to the Schubert. I saw the show West Side Story. I went with my mom and my mom's friend and my friend's mom. The ending was sad, but it was good. There was pretty music. I loved it. There were real people. It was fun. Kindergarten.
Wow.
Wow.
Here's another one. This is Common Core writing of informational text or nonfiction text. So this was an example that you saw in the binder of what our students should be able to do in kindergarten. This was about frogs. Here's ours. I am going to write about cheetahs. Cheetahs have long legs because they run fast. Cheetahs live in Africa. They have long legs because they have to catch their prey. There's another kindergarten example.
I like the prey there.
Here's another one. I am going to tell you about the great white shark. They have teeth as sharp as knives. So a simile right there in kindergarten. They live in the ocean and eat fish. Sharks do not chew their food, they swallow it whole. So, not our students. Our students will never be able to do this. They're doing it. So where are we headed? What are our reflections and our obstacles in talking to the team? There's a need still for more grade level collaboration because as we discovered when we got more into the curriculum, there was more that we didn't know. Where are we going to go next? So with that, we need to spend some time talking not only with the kindergarten team, but kindergarten teachers talking to first grade teachers because our first grade teachers are getting students more prepared than they ever have before. In addition to that, the kindergarten teachers need some more time to plan and to talk about the curriculum. Because often, as you know in schools, we get going and then it's a race to kind of catch each other. So we need to build in more time for that, to slow that down a little bit. One of our obstacles, this is the good and the bad of full-day kindergarten, is that a third of our class, so that means from the time they start school all the way through December, a third of the class, they're 4-year-old children. So with full-day kindergarten, we're getting a lot more kids coming in younger, which brings social and academic challenges for the teachers and behavioral. So that's a challenge that we're going to look at. How do we really launch the beginning of the year, which is one of our next reflections, is that we need to spend more time really teaching school at the beginning of the year. These students come in, most of them, I think 99% of them coming in this coming year have had preschool experience, so that should help us a little bit. We also did screenings for the first time of all of our incoming kindergartners to help balance our class placements, because oftentimes we go on a preschool survey that the preschool teacher has filled out, but we really don't know a whole lot more about the students until they arrive. So we might have all the 4-year-olds in a particular class. So that was the first way we sorted it, was we leveled the playing field of our youngest students, and then we started to look at what were their needs and coming off the screenings. And interestingly enough, we have 7 students coming into kindergarten already reading at a DRA level 4 on the screening when they came in. So next year we're already starting ahead of the curve. And then the other piece that we're going to add next year is kindergarten is going to start their Common Core work in curriculum with facilitation from Nancy Boyles, who has been working with 3, 4, 5, and grades 1 and 2 this year. So we're now going to extend that down to kindergarten. So that's where we are. Questions, thoughts?
I just want to comment that Nancy Boyles has been working at Tucket last year extensively, and this year Jerome and Sarah has been working with her over those past few years. And Nancy Boyles has stated with conviction that North Branford, with the model and the time and the energy with what we're doing with Common Core, is really paving the way for other districts that she goes into and says to them, you know, North Branford's ahead of the curve of what they've been doing and what they are doing in preparation for this transition. So you should be very proud of how early we've been involved with Nancy Boyles and what she's brought to the district and how our teachers have embraced it. And you're seeing the end result when a year ago, you know, and I remember these conversations, Sarah, about, you know, our kids are going to write full coherent paragraphs, and you could feel the angst, and now we look at where we're at, and it's just been amazing to see.
Well, if you remember the handout we had when we were trying, when we all went to the budget meeting, and what our kids were doing and what was expected,
Right.
and now Sean has shown us that our kids really are doing. That's amazing.
Any
I have a
questions?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now that the kids are doing so well in kindergarten, when first grade comes along, I mean, what happens? Do we teach them the same thing we always taught them?
No.
First grade's already, their work this year with Nancy Boyles, they've already started to write their Common Core units in literacy, so they will pick up right from where kindergarten is leaving off.
Yeah.
Okay, so that just pushes the grades.
And second grade has done the same.
And we had the same problem with when our fifth graders started going to the middle school with over 90% goal. They had to adjust what was going on in the sixth grade. So it's the same paradigm.
Yeah. It's a good problem.
It's a good problem,
You're
yeah.
pushing and raising the bar.
Right.
When 90% of your class in the fifth grade was hitting the math state goal, we were in the top 10% in the state of Connecticut.
Right.
And that's phenomenal. You're moving that forward to the sixth grade team. They have to adjust.
Good, that's good.
So you don't lose kids.
The momentum that you gain.
The other thing that will happen is naturally by nature of the structure of our programs with response to intervention, that as much as it targets our students that are tier 2 and tier 3 in terms of struggling, those students already going into first grade that are already above will have a group of being challenged. So we'll enrich them as well as assist those that are struggling a little bit.
And our talented and gifted are enriched and pushed and they grow according to their ability.
Mr. Parker, I have a question for you. You get teachers' quotes on that. My curiosity is more about the parents. When you have teacher conferences, are the parents coming back with any comments? Are the kids better behaved at home? They're going to bed earlier?
Some are here.
I'm just curious to hear the parents' point of view rather than...
I have a daughter in kindergarten this year, and I have a son that's in second grade, and the difference, you know, I remember my son coming home and saying I had to rush through snack. I didn't even have time to eat my snack because we got so involved in math, so involved in reading. This year, I mean, granted, they're both totally different learners. My daughter's doing better than I ever expected her to do. And she loves school. She's not tired at the end of the day. I think it's working out wonderfully. I don't have any complaints at all.
That's my point, is, you know, we as a staff can say, yeah, but I'm interested in hearing or seeing what parents are saying if it's a positive venture for their own kids. That's what it's all about.
The other thing I will tell you is that as a school, we administered, part of our school climate, we administered parent surveys as well. And the kindergarten, we broke it out by kindergarten, first and second grade, as well as the whole school. And the kindergarten comments were extremely positive. Our biggest comments of if there is any kind of concern has been around lunch and recess time.
Okay.
Right. You have another?
Yeah, the back.
Yes, I actually have a daughter, actually, she's in the same class with Mallory, and I really can't say enough about the kindergarten. I too am a teacher, I teach in Bridgeport, I have for 15 years, so I have a lot of experience, and I'm just very impressed with the program, and Mr. Parker's doing a great job, and today, I have to tell you, today was a fun day. Were you on the committee?
Yes.
A lot of fun.
I cannot say, I went my volunteer, I was only there for a couple of hours. It was, I mean, kudos to the committee, you guys did an incredible job, to the teachers, to everyone. It was the most wonderful day there today. And if there was stress going on at all with you guys, you had no idea. Because really, the kids, it was incredible, and just kudos to everyone today.
Thank you. And it was scheduled to be outdoors, obviously with the rain. you know, they moved everything inside. And the gymnasium, they have the jumpies and the slides and the obstacle course there. They had fathers, and I believe Beth Parker, I don't want to put her out there, but she got in the dunk tank.
Yep.
They had the dunk tank, and the
She has
kids.
for the past,
Every year.
she's been there every year.
She's the best. But the kids were standing outside under a tent, and the dads were sitting in the dunk tank. And I have to share one. The tent's not big enough, but one of the dads was standing off to the side, and one of the boys went to throw the ball, and the ball was wet, obviously because of the rain. It slipped out, and it hit the dad in the arm. And the laughter, and he was fine. It was a first grader. They had the best time. The parents thoroughly enjoyed every aspect of it. So thank you for sharing that.
And thanks parents for speaking up.
Yeah.
I sent two off to school today, and they were going to Jerome Harrison Valley. This is gonna really stink, you know, fun day has to be inside because of this rain. They came home and I said, how was school? We had the best day, it was just awesome, and they just went on
They had
and
a
on
big
and on about sunlight for something that was too long, golf was too long, so he did football 3 times, and I mean, like, they just had the best time. They could have cared less that it was inside versus outside.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parker. So there are no other questions? Your hard work, and especially the first year initiating this, as you know, we went through to bring full-day kindergarten, the discussions with the budgetary constraints, and we were very creative in shifting staff and being able to do it in tough economic times. And that's a credit to you, and I thank you for your support and backing our recommendation to move forward with that. We think it's proven and will continue to prove, not only in the data outcomes and measurable successes, but seeing the kids be able to socialize and play, learn those skills outside of the classroom. You cannot put a price on that. And that's equally as important as their DRP scores. So I want that to be heard, that we appreciate the whole package with what they're doing.
I think that was one of the best moves that we made
Absolutely.
to do that, and thank you very much for the before and after, because when I first saw the writing prompt that they were supposed to get to, I was nervous. I was very nervous, and that's why I wanted to see it in June, so I thank you. You guys definitely exceeded my expectations.
They did a great job.
Absolutely.
They did a great job.
That's what makes it, being up here worthwhile.
Yeah, Mr. Parker, how do you do that?
Okay.
I want to give you some more reinforcement. Our grandson is part of the all-day kindergarten, and he doesn't shut off when he comes home. The sight words. If he hears the sight word, he'll say, hey, that's one of my sight words. So they're not just coming home, getting off the bus, and shutting off school. It carries on. So, I mean, it's, again, more positive reinforcement. It's just that they are now in a different learning mode, and they continue to learn at home and stuff. So, again, maybe a little tired, but I think the rewards are going to outweigh the physical tiredness. And again, for a first year, I think we're amazed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else from curriculum? Okay. Yeah.
Just a quick comment. I placed copies of the grades 3, 4, and 5 summer reading program on your tables.
Thank you. Pension?
Need to get a real number.
I just want to say, these
There's
are
no
very
reason.
nice.
Yeah, we said I get a real number for next one.
They're very nice.
I never do.
Makes you want.
Yeah, we
Just
do.
let you know, for next one, we need a real number.
As opposed to a paper.
I'm the faith member, we need a real
He's the
one.
alternate. We need,
For what?
that was
For
that was
pension.
one of Anthony's committees,
Yeah.
was
And
pension.
what time is it?
Meets
4
once a
o'clock.
quarter, 4 o'clock. Once a quarter.
But that, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, stop. That's fine, I'll do it.
You'll do
What?
it.
Wow.
That was easy. We should make a motion before she changes her mind, because
Yeah.
this has to be voted on. It doesn't have to go to council.
Yes.
It's still,
Does somebody want to make a motion before she changes her mind?
I make a motion that Deborah Prunier is put on to the pension committee.
Second.
I heard it.
Any more discussion? Roll call before she changes her mind.
Chairwoman Anafrio?
Yes.
Vice Chair Missio?
Yes.
Secretary McMahon?
Absolutely.
Ed Cordino?
Yes.
Lou
Oh,
Paternoster?
yes.
Yes. Premiere?
Sure, yes.
Thank you, Debbie.
Congratulations.
I can't do it. I know we need someone for ACES, but we're gonna be at a deadlock for ACES. None of us can really do it.
Right, with your working schedules. I will speak with Craig Edmondson, the director.
Luckily, it's at least summertime,
So
you
we have a
know.
break. and
We have a
we'll see
little
what
break to
happens.
figure something
How does
out.
it work?
ACES is in the middle of the day, once a month at lunchtime. They do give you lunch though.
I will, you know what I'll do is I'll get next year's schedule and I'll forward it to all the board members.
How long is it? About 2 hours,
It's
isn't it?
about
It's
an
a
hour and a
lunch,
half, 2
it's a
hours,
lunch
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
I'll forward the calendar to you, you can take a look at the times, where it meets and what time. And then.
No, they don't meet,
they
so
don't
that's why
meet.
we have a break.
Really hard.
That's why we have a little bit of a break.
It's first thing in the morning.
Yes, we,
It's not so bad, my pension.
If worse comes to worse, we have to wait and see what the new board is like.
maybe somebody doesn't work.
Or at least just a little, flexible.
Right.
Okay, so we move on to policy.
Well, we have some new policies to approve, and then we have a first read as well. On our first read, we have one on nutrition and wellness policy P1500, Exhibit I. That's something to look at for our next meeting. And then we have some policies to approve. And the first one, I'd like to make a motion to approve policy P3020, parental involvement policy for Title I students as submitted.
Second.
This is a required policy for districts receiving Title I funds.
Correct.
So we don't have much choice. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Corradino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Next one, I'd like to make a motion to approve policy P4010, fundraising as submitted.
Second.
This one has a revision, which is recommended policy adds item E through G and modifies H in the guidelines for administrative approval and modifies the statement about individual incentives. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Corradino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve policy P5050, superintendent of schools as submitted.
Second.
This one is an existing policy with 2 minor editorial revisions. Any discussion on this? Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Macio,
Yes.
Secretary McMahon,
Yes.
Ed Corradino,
Yes.
Lou Paternoster,
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
Okay. And we move on to ACES. Obviously, no report. Nobody was able to attend the meeting, and we do need to think about a replacement. Building committee?
Is that me?
Yeah, you were there.
All right, Rose, correct me if I say anything that's wrong before I get in trouble. We had a building committee, and the dual burner has been ordered, to make you guys happy. And the 1/4 inch roof pitch got approved by the state. And we're gonna save about, what, 400,000 Rose on that? We're gonna save about roughly $400,000 in savings, by getting it approved. And, we also are going to add on to the ventilations, so we get some state reimbursement on that. And it looks like we're going to be a month off on,
There's a couple of things. The half-inch pitch went to a 1/4 inch, so the design phase they're looking at it right now for when it will start and when it will finish, but that does save significant money,
Yeah.
not having to go to a half-inch pitch. It's 400 done prior to the start of the school year. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to happen. The roof will be under construction when we're in the building next year. There's no way around that. So we're also looking at, skylights and other things up there to try to eliminate as much as we possibly can for future problems moving forward with the project. So I don't know, Rose, you're here, if there's anything that I missed
or I missed.
that we're pretty,
You guys did a good job in your eyes.
Pardon me?
I did a good job.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
So with that being said, The motion for the roof? No.
No, but
There's no motion.
in order to process final funding requests, you need a motion to approve and accept the North Branford Intermediate School Renovate as new project as complete.
Right.
So I'll make that
This is
motion.
a new topic. Yes.
New topic, I will make a motion to approve and accept the school building project 099-049-RNV/E, North Branford Intermediate School renovate as new project as complete.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
They can still work on the punch list.
Right. This is, obviously, we're moving this through so that the state reimbursement process, there's some fine details that have to be completed. We've been working with our state rep on this to move things along and get this thing completed. So we're hoping in the very near future it'll be signed off and we will be reimbursed for the percentage of monies that are coming to us.
Yeah,
We've been in the building for 2 years. It's time to close it
Yeah,
out.
I think the punch list is very small there now. It's down to not very much some hardware,
Right.
things like that.
And things are wearing out by normal wear and tear.
And you're probably looking at normal wear and tear issues now on some stuff, so probably time to do this.
Correct.
Okay. Roll call?
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Messina.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Cordino.
Yes.
Ruth Hattermaster.
Yes.
Deborah Paneer.
Yes. Okay, then we move on to communication. We had nothing come through the communication link, and we canceled our communication committee meeting.
Correct. Correct to canceling the meeting.
It was more about, wasn't a complaint or anything.
Calendar, nothing, we're good.
We obviously made adjustments to next year's calendar and felt that the discussion for that second year out, and I know the parents have peeked in on this part of the conversation, we do have time this summer looking forward. I would not want to push too, I wouldn't recommend that we push too further out past July or August to go out to the
Right.
following year to give families the opportunity. We are going to stay with the same schedule that we're moving to next year and eliminate the February as we back out days, and we want to stay consistent 2 years out. We should do that this
Right.
summer
Right,
for staff and for families.
right, I agree.
Okay?
We'll put that on for next month then.
Yes.
Put that on for next month in July. Any new business? Go to the board?
I know Matt's mission was very successful. I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but I know.
Record year.
It was a record year.
For participation and for fundraising. In a day that was cloudy and overcast, they had a phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think it said, I think I read in the Totucket Times or the Sun or whatever it was, I think it said 1,055 runners,
Yeah,
I
over
think,
1,000.
and over $50,000 they raised. Don't quote me on that.
Great success, and
I think-
again, Lynn continues to be such a supporter of our schools. So.
Even though it ended in the rain, it was very successful.
Just going back to the communication, it was on the party bus.
Oh, that's right, that's right, I forgot about that.
Let me clarify.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you might want.
That
Forgot about
was
I just looked it up.
that was around the prom and the renting of party vehicles for proms. The Department of Transportation had issued a warning about companies that were fraudulent in their licensing of drivers and the inspection of their vehicles. And the Department of Transportation had operations set up with the state police where they were going to proms and checking these buses. 2 of the buses at our prom were in violation, and that meant that 50 of our students had to arrange rides during the prom. We looked into this, and when the prom sign-up sheet was handed out, the students were given the DOT warning. So every student that went to the prom in the main office received the notification from the Department of Transportation saying that, be vigilant, check into your prom. And there was one other stopgap that we notified the students.
There was a reminder on the day of the prom.
The day, okay.
At the sign-out procedure at the front counter. And the DMV was very good that night. notifying us. And we were, the prom there was 3 proms there, so there was multiple proms going on, but they were very good about notifying us immediately upon them determining that those vehicles are not legit. And we had all the students telephone their parents, and we met the parents in the parking lot at the end of the prom, and all the parents were very appreciative that we had contacted, and the kids had contacted the parents immediately, and the DMV had alerted us as early as 9 p.m. versus waiting until the end of the night.
Right.
And they were very good to work with. And I notified Mr. Schoonmaker by phone as soon as the DMV notified us of that situation.
So, unfortunately, the students learned a very hard lesson that, I had a picture of the party bus sent to me. I wouldn't have put my child on that bus to begin with. It looked like a corrections vehicle with spray painted labeling.
Really did.
And
I got a
it was
picture of it too.
awful. And,
I did talk to a couple seniors, and they were on that bus, on one of them, and I said to them, I'm sorry that your prom, was ruined, and are you kidding me?
Right.
It was not ruined. It just brought more excitement to it. So
20 years from now, when they talk about
first
their
I
prom,
talked to
their
the guys.
kids,
I didn't talk to any girls, but I did talk to guys.
No, and
But it was all over the news
Nobody
and
got
stuff,
hurt.
so nobody got hurt, and that's all that
now, the
matters.
good news is that bus made it to the prom.
Yeah, exactly.
By the looks of it, but,
It is a very scary thing, and the kids want to go on these party buses, so they're with their friends, and it alleviates the parents. I know when my children went to the prom, I didn't mind shelling out the money, because I'm like, okay, they're not driving, you know what I mean? I don't have to worry about them fooling around on the highway with their friends' cars next to them and stuff, they just make one split-second decision. But it is a risk you run. I got conned in last year by my son. Nobody else would give the credit card for the deposit. Please, Mom, please, 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 please. I promise I'll make sure you get every penny of it. And you know what? Everything in Connecticut was booked. I had to go to a New York company. I did the best I could. I researched it. Luckily, we were good. The bus met at a state trooper's house and had a few police officers' children on it. And those police officers did what they had to do to make sure it was legit. But that year, there were 2 limos that did not show up to pick up other kids. They didn't even show up to pick them up to take them to the prom. So at the last minute, they were scurrying to get, rides to the prom. It's unfortunately just a chance you take. It is just a chance you take, unfortunately.
right. Lesson learned. Okay, that was the.
Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks, I couldn't remember.
I
that one.
researched it, and then I knew I did read something as well.
Anything else like with the board?
Yeah, I got a few things.
Somebody say, oh.
Yeah, but I know what he's gonna say, and then he's not.
I say it all the time, but no one wants to listen to me. What you see in Facebook, what you see in the North Branford Patch, not necessarily believe what you see and read and hear, because I'm going to give you a perfect example of what happened to me on Patch and on Facebook last year when I ran. Marcy will, I don't mind, Marcy doesn't mind this. I was told I was put on this committee because Marcy, I was handpicked by Marcy to be on the Board of Ed. Anybody that knows that knows it's the farthest thing from the truth, because Marcy didn't even vote for me. So, actually, no one voted for me.
I voted for you in the election, just not the
But
caucus.
the point is that, I can do whatever I want on Facebook and Patch, or whatever I want to write. Read it, take it with a grain of salt, and ask questions. But what I just said was, God's not shoot Marcy. I'm like, Luke, do you know you were handpicked by me? I said, Marcy, you went to the caucus to go against me. You brought your kids, you brought everything you could to get me not on this seat. But was that true, Marcy?
That was true.
It's true.
I voted.
So when you read something, please take it with a grain of salt. Mr. Davis, it wasn't that funny. They were trying to get more people there. But it gets very aggravating when I make this preaching. It might sound like I preach, but anybody that knows me, I'm an approachable guy. I'll listen. Mr. Potter with the milk and the mobile. But I don't like things going on behind my back. And as soon as we get done here, I'm going to have an email from somebody saying somebody did something. This is the place to say it. Say it now or forever hold your peace. Please, to hold your peace. Because anybody that knows me knows I do my homework. And when I vote my conscience, I vote my homework. All right? And there are things that are being said and done that are ridiculous in this town. And as soon as we get rid of those things, the better we're going to be. Because when I read something, I hear something, I ask questions, you know, outside of town, see if my logic is there or my logic's not there. And based on something that happened, my logic was 110% there. So, you know, the election's coming up, everything is coming up. Please, please don't read everything you say and say, oh, Don Winnicky said this, it's got to be true. Because whatever we say, we skew it towards what we want it to be. Everybody's laughing at this. God, no one voted for me. Nobody. But seriously, let's act like adults. This is the place to bring our subjects up. You know, the parents brought up the calendar. Is the calendar resolved? Yes. He gave us an opportunity to do something. We did it. It didn't take a petition to do it. It didn't take Facebook. It didn't take any of that stuff. It took parents coming here and saying, we aren't happy with what you're doing. And that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
But we can't always reverse decisions.
That's not the point. The point
Decisions
is,
just because, no, not to you.
No, Mark, the point is, this is where we want to be heard. Right. I'm not saying we're going to reverse everything. I'm not saying I'm going to vote to reverse everything. But this is where we should be heard. Here. Not in the street corner. Because anybody that knows me, I speak my mind. And when someone asks me something that they read on Facebook or the patch or XYZ, I tell them the truth. My opinion. And that's all that matters. So, and by the way, I have 2 more years. I'm not for election, so you can't impeach me. So I'm here for 2 years. What are you laughing back there for? Is that not funny?
It's Thursday night comedy hour.
I'd like to just follow up on some of the things that Lou said. Just be cautious with what you read on Facebook and stuff, because I've heard some things, people have said some things to me as well. This is the place to get information. If you do need to know something, this is where you should come. I say that to everyone because there is a lot of disinformation out there. So, but then again, the whole reason I think we're all up here, the information we got on the Common Core today in our kindergartens, that's what it's really all about. All right, that's really what it's about. That's what we're here for these kids and the grades and seeing the accomplishments. We have a student that got into West Point. That's the things I'd like to see on Facebook. I really would.
You want to say something, Sharon?
Well, I was not going to say what you said. However, Lou, I agree 1,000%.
This one down the calendar.
Yes, mark it down. We're agreed.
2013.
That is true.
13.
Don't believe everything that you read. And sometimes when people don't know the facts and they think that they know their facts, it snowballs and it goes into something totally different. So that's just to piggyback on that, and that I did agree. What I did want to say is I'm counting heads out there, and there's a lot more heads than the normal 1, the normal 3. And I think we've had 4. So I see some new faces, and I want to thank you guys, directed in that part of the back room. Thank you for coming. And we meet usually the 3rd Thursday. It's a little mixed up this month, but 7 p.m., this room, and this is...
The calendar's on the website. It is mostly the 3rd Thursday, but there's probably 3 that it's not the 3rd Thursday. So the calendar is on the website just to double check.
Yep.
Next month I'll buy ice cream at Froyo if it's open by then.
That's a safe bet. No,
is that in the minutes?
What was that?
No.
That's Lou.
No, that's me.
That's a personal.
That's a personal thing. We don't do it with the board. We don't want to get accused of bribing people.
Any other comments?
Then you hire touch.
No, the only thing that I wanted to add in is budget season is over. We've received what we need to work with. We're working within that. We made the choices that we needed to make. Some were harder than others. The board does not shirk off its duties to the administrators. The administrators, it is their charge to let us know what will hurt them the least in their buildings. And we generally go with their recommendations. We are not involved in the day-to-day operations of the individual buildings. So we do not really know what their budgets, their individual building budgets entail. We also do not know which teachers are the last ones in, the first ones to go by seniority. So we do rely on the administrators from the buildings to do it, and we do thank them very, very much for their hard work.
And we do put our 2 cents in.
Absolutely.
With ideas and.
Absolutely.
And everyone takes that into consideration. It's a team effort.
It is a team effort, and now that budget season is over, we're working with what we need to work with the decisions that we made, and we should be celebrating these children's successes. You know, I went to scholarship night, the scholarships these kids got. I went to the IPP showcase, seeing what these students did. You know, I went and read to the students at Jerome Harrison. I mean, all these fun events, the schools our kids are getting into. They're writing novels in a month, and I got 2 kids into the colleges, okay? I know the stress of getting their essays done and getting their applications done, and the fact that these students can find time to write a 180-page novel in that time. I mean, the writings from Jerome Harrison from the kindergarten and the success of the all-day kindergarten and all the different programs. You know, I sat there and I listened in curriculum. I can't always make it to curriculum, but I made it for the second half, and I was listening to the art presentations and listening to these teachers, and they're saying that kids are coming into the art rooms during their study halls to work on things. I've listened to the automotive teacher say that kids are coming into the auto shop during study halls. These are great things. These are what we should be celebrating, not nitpicking and fighting over 1 or 2 teachers got laid off at the high school, or you know, 1 or 2 teachers got laid off at the elementary school. We should be celebrating the good things that are going on. And that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Now I'll have a motion. I'll have a motion to adjourn to executive session.
No, we got visitors.
I make a motion.
I asked them
Oh,
already.
there, no one said anything?
Did I already ask, did I ask for visitors requests?
No.
I'm sorry, I
We
skipped
got
that.
something to say.
And you know what, I got thrown off by the kindergarten and the parents speaking. Sorry about that. Any visitors requests? Mr. Potter?
Well, Lou, I want to tell you, I don't pick on just you. I cornered Shannon in the
Yes, you did.
I had to go out of state to catch her. But, you know, again, parents, these people are for your kids. Good to see some new faces. And now, as a grandparent of one and then another one coming through the school system, I think I'm going to be more critical probably than I was with my own kids, because I was always working. You guys really, you know what you're talking about. You're talking about students, you're talking about families, but you're also talking about North Branford's future. Now, who better to become mayor eventually than the West Point graduate? I mean, maybe that's what we need, a military-type leader in town that, you know, but again, the quality of the student, the product you're putting out is phenomenal. I mean, and that's bragging rights right here. For a small town, I think, you know, our school system is our biggest asset. And you can be proud of the students and where they're going. And it was good to hear from the other parents and kindergartners, because like I say, my grandson impressed me the other day. I forget what we're talking about. He's dealing with a dementia-ridden grandfather. What do you expect? But sight word, bang, it just came right out of his mouth. Hey, Papa, that's one of my sight words. It was so good to see he hadn't just shut off.
Right.
He's excited, and that's going to be contagious. It's going to start at the lower grades, hopefully right up through the whole school system. So again, you know, you guys, with what you're giving, you're doing a great job, and I see the results, and I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy?
I just want to say that I agree 100% with what you guys are saying about the Facebook and everything. My only comment is, it just seems in the past, and in every budget season, it always seems like it's our poor teachers that, and I know it's an administration, they discuss and they come to you guys and say, this is what we suggest. But as a parent's point of view, it just seems that the first line of fire is the teachers. It's the paras. And so as a parent, it's disheartening. And that's kind of, you know, that's what we're seeing. I've talked about with Mr. Schoonmaker a couple of things about, you know, play to pay or whatever. And I'm not for it, I'm not against it, I'm just bringing it up as an example. I mean, you know, we're gonna let teachers go, and we're gonna have a full football team that we're paying for, or a full hockey team and everything else. So it just, and that's where, as a parent, this is what we're seeing. It feels that you're not, and you could be, and you're going to tell me, yes, we've looked at all options, but from a parent's point of view, it just seems that the first line of attack is the teachers. And that's where you're probably getting the comments on the Facebook and on the patch and on everything. And because the parents don't come regularly to the Board of Ed meetings, this is when everything escalates, because they don't ask the questions. So just so you know, from a parent's point of view, it just always seems that it's the teachers that are in the line of fire, and we're always praying for retirements or resignations. So, and the past couple of years, we've been fortunate with retirements and stuff. So I just want you to hear a parent's point of view, that it always seems that it's our teachers or our paras. And now that I'm a greeter at TVES, I'm also an employee. And I really see what goes on in the schools and what these teachers are doing, and with life skills and with special ed, and to know that parents aren't going to be replaced, or teachers are going to be laid off, or these poor principals and administrators have to go crazy to try to reconstruct their school for the following year because teachers are getting let go. So I just want you to get a parent's point of view, and this is what we're seeing. And we're feeling that you're not looking at other options. So I just wanted to let you know at least what I see.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
I'd just like to tell you though, believe me, painstaking hours of trying to come up with ways to do this.
And I know it's not easy.
It's the only
It's
way
not.
sometimes.
But
I just, you know, without going into any detail, I'll be honest with you, believe me, we looked at every option, and it just doesn't give you the money that you need.
Right.
To cut a program or pay to play would probably cost money. There's so many options that we looked at. It's unfortunate, but and nobody likes to lay anybody off.
Right.
But it's probably the least painful for the students this way. And that's, at the end of the day, it's about the kids, and that's what we have to always stay focused on. The kids, what's best for them. Don't think I didn't say, well, what about art, music, and sports? But what about a kid whose life is saved from football or art? And we didn't have that here for them. They quit school. So at the end of the day, really, you know, it's about the kids, staying focused on them, and this is really the only way. I wish there was a better way.
Absolutely. Brandy, just to clarify, we did explore the option of pay-for-play.
Now,
Just so you know.
and I know that everything, you know, I know you guys can't talk about everything, but, you know, we as parents, obviously, we don't know what you guys are talking about. We're getting the last of everything, you know, this is what we're doing. I mean, could you throw us a bone and say, you know, this is the first time I've heard you guys say, we did look at that option. You know, I mean, couldn't you throw the parents a bone and say, you know, we looked at this option and this option, and this is why we didn't go with this option, because of A, B, and C. I mean, I don't know the logistics of you guys and what you can talk about and what you can't talk about, but, you know, you say Facebook, so maybe Facebook, it would calm a few things on Facebook when you're saying don't always listen, and I do know it's about the kids, believe me, I do know, but to keep everybody, you know, so you're not up there saying, don't listen to everything you read. Couldn't you just throw the parents a bone of what you could say? I mean, you know.
Can I just,
Yeah, go right ahead.
just to be very brief with the whole pay-to-play, we did examine the potential for a pay-to-play option, and we looked at a range of $150 to $200 per sport, per student, but then expanding it to all extracurricular activities for anybody participating, because it wouldn't be fair to just the student athletes.
Absolutely.
And then we looked at the number of free and reduced lunch kids and those that were in need that are participating in our sports programs, and it would have eliminated a lot of students who are doing multiple activities. So for a family that has one student playing 3 sports, and we have many playing 3 sports, it would be about $600 additional monies per year to play a sport. So if I run cross country and I just have to buy my own sneakers, I get a pair of shorts and a tank top, it's $200. If I then in the wintertime play basketball, I buy my own sneakers and I get the uniform, it's $200. And then the same thing for whatever sport. Your two highest cost sports are hockey and football, but they generate the biggest revenue. They get a gate and they pretty much self-sustain themselves, so money's coming through the gate. So when it was all said and done, the amount of monies that came in comparison to the number of students we would have lost, it didn't weigh out. And so we felt we would be excluding kids with the mindset, I pay, then I should play. So then when you get to a competitive level and I pay $600 for the year, and I'm sitting there as a senior and I'm not playing, I paid my $200. Well, how come I'm not playing and this one is? So there were many, many variables that went into it. We looked at other state models and the numbers in the state that are participating. It didn't work for us. And really the $600 is more than what the tax base went up with, the increase. So the parents would have been hit twice. You would have been the one paying the $600 to offset, the potential for a teacher. And we're not unlike any other district, Randy. When we have to make the decisions, when you get, a minimal increase over several years, it falls out in personnel, and it's certified personnel, unfortunately. And we're working desperately to retain our programs and salvage what we have. We should be celebrating what we have with the full-day kindergarten, Latin at the high school. All of the great things that have happened are what we should be celebrating.
Absolutely.
But there's that breaking point where you can't keep going this way, or it has impact. So the board does a great job listening and looking and working with our administrative team. Decisions are not made in the vacuum, believe me. They'll nod their head. The hours we spend when we look at where are we going to go with this scenario planning, 100,000, 200,000, 700,000 we lost this year.
Right.
You have to get pretty creative, okay? When you ask for 785 and you get 7 cut, you have to be creative. Okay, and pay to play. The early retirement incentive plan came out of this group, and we had 3 people participating, and that saved jobs.
Terrific, thank you.
Okay?
And I also like to piggyback, part of the thing with the dual fuel burners, it's taken us many years to make a simple project come to fruition.
We can't wait for them to be
I
installed.
cannot wait for them to be installed.
But that's a money saver.
Yeah.
So we do look at other things.
Go ahead, Mr. Potter.
I'm going to mention 2 names that we've lost as far as news coverage. Ben Rayner and Susan Mercer. Ben worked for the Sound, Susan worked for the Register. We had good news coverage in this town. Now you've got Mr. Amaranti, who will show up at a council meeting once in a while. Pam Johnson, never see her here, once in a while council meeting. So yes, this town is news-starved because we've lost good journalists. Susan ended up in the West Haven area. Ben Rayner went into the medical field. But the people that try to fill those holes they're not cutting it. Jim is trying at Patch to be the best. We have the Tutucket Times. So I think, unfortunately, when you don't have good, solid news coverage, it falls on the rumor mill and does more damage than good. If we could just get a good Register reporter again and somebody from the Sound that would show up once in a while, I think a lot of this would be, stopped before it got out of control. But it's just, it's just the electronic media took over, and those 2 people left big shoes to fill. And Susan was really, before she would quote you in the paper, she would talk to you. And that's a trust you don't build up with a newspaper person too quickly. And I thought she did a pretty good job here in town. And again, like I say, Ben was fantastic. When I was on the Agriculture Commission, you were noticing he was featuring farms every other month for us. And when Pam took over, it just didn't happen. And even her editor didn't want to know anything. So again, until we get some kind of good news source in town, we're going to be a victim of rumors. And not in a good way.
Is that Rose? I'll be really quick. We talked earlier about the high school roof project. And if you recall, in the budget for next year, the TBS roof project did not get cut. It remained in the budget. It is being supported. And at Finance Committee meeting this week, I brought up the timeline for that. Because I know the high school roof project, it was our goal to try and get this done during the summertime, but we didn't start this project until the spring of this year. And so it was a very ambitious project. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. The timeline for this is
we're looking, we have to approve our capital improvement project, plan first, and we're waiting for the final numbers from the state to do that. So we're looking that that would probably happen in August, but we also, at that meeting, we would also like to move it to the Permanent Project Building Committee in August. So I know with the high school roof project, there's been a delay, a little bit of a delay because we're redesigning one because of the 1/4-inch pitch, a half to a quarter, but then we also have to bring in a mechanical engineer now because of the ventilators and do that work, so that's going to add a few weeks. So if you could look at the TBS project and see once, do you want to include mechanicals? Try and think of all these things that we came across on the high school roof project so that it can be all included at the beginning of the project so we don't have these issues going back and forth. And hopefully we've learned some things from the high school roof project. And our goal is, you know, to get the project there this fall so we have enough time to do the architect find, the bid specs, put it out to bid, and have the project ready to go when school is out next year to do for the summer.
Okay.
So maybe at the July meeting or something, you can look at that. In the meantime, look at that so that information can get to the council and we can act on it in August. August would be the earliest that we would act on it.
Now, Rose, is that due to the savings in the pitch change that we're able to do the TVS building? Because I think that was
no, that was in the capital budget and it did not get cut during the budget process at all. It stayed in the budget process, and we talked about, and it's part of the bonding project that is going to move forward in November. So it didn't get cut. I verified that. It's still in the projects, and
it was significant, meaning it was $1 million job.
I think it was 1.7 in the capital.
Right.
But just so that we have all the paperwork in place for state reimbursement and exactly what needs to be done on the school, because I know some sections were done a few years ago. Does it include the portables? Not, you know, that whole issue. So that's a dialogue that you need to have so that it's complete when it comes to the council.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now, Don, do we have to approve somebody for this permanent project, stay the same for that?
Do we have
Our
to
members?
extend them?
Well, you have I don't know, I don't know whether it's a project by project appointment.
No, it's any Board of Ed project that comes up during their tenure.
Okay, so we're good.
So then,
All right, any other visitors' comments? Okay.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session as per section 1-225 of the Connecticut General Statutes as permitted by section 1-206A of Connecticut General Statutes to discuss agenda items 8 and C and A.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I have a motion to come back into the
We
public
did it
session.
already. We made a motion to adjourn.
Correct.
Go ahead.
We're back.
All right, I would like to make a motion to approve a 1-year sabbatical leave in accordance with Article 18 of the contract between the North Branford Board of Education and the North Branford Federation of Teachers for Beth Parker, a school psychologist at Jerome Harrison.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Missio.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Cordino.
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deb Prunier.
Yes. I would like to make a motion to approve a 1-year leave in accordance to Article 20 of the contract between the North Branford Board of Education and the North Branford Federation of Teachers for Mark Fabrizi, a high school English teacher. This leave will be without pay and without benefits. Mr. Fabrizi will notify the board no later than June 1st, 2014 of his employment status for the 2014-2015 school year.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Missio.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Cordino.
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an unpaid leave of absence for 8 days for Abigail Detour, a guidance department leader at the high school.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Chairwoman D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Missio.
Yes.
Secretary McMahon.
Yes.
Ed Cordino.
Yes.
Lou Paternoster.
Yes.
Deborah Prunier.
Yes. Make a motion to go back into executive session.
I'm going to make a motion to go back into executive session for section 1-225 of the Connecticut General Statutes as permitted by section 1-206A of Connecticut General Statutes to discuss agenda item 10A.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.